For joining us this evening for this Q&A on the Arkansas Graveler and what we refer to as America's most hospitable gravel ride. That's returning June 3rd to the 7th of 2025. My name is Brannon. I'm with the Ozark Foundation. I have the honor of serving as your moderator this evening. With us this evening, we have Scotti Moody, as well as Kevin Caldwell and Nicole Potter from Phat Tire Bike Shop. How's everyone doing this evening? Thumbs up.
Well, thank you.
Glad to be here. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for being here. And we're so I believe it was my error that I sent out my personal Zoom meeting as a presenter to all of you who now have my name affixed to your screen. So we apologize if we can't call you by name because we can't see your names. So there's like 20 Scotti Moody's right now. But we're glad you're here. And if you would just like Brannon said, mute if you're not speaking, and we will create some opportunities to get you guys some airtime.
Yeah, and that's a reminder that the Q&A function is enabled. If you're not, we do have some attendees that didn't join as panelists. So if you are on the attendee side this evening, the Q&A function is enabled and attendees are encouraged to send us your questions. We'll do the best we can to answer as many as we can throughout the evening. We're going to try to keep it right at about an hour. So if we don't get to everything, we'll let you know how you can get in contact with us afterwards. And let's just get rolling. Before we take a look at 2025, let's take a second to talk about the magic that was 2024 and the inaugural year. Scotti, can you take us just a quick look back at what 2024 looked like?
Yeah. I know some of you with us tonight were part of the inaugural experience, and we're so excited to see you back here with us this evening. Our first year was a completely different route than what we're running for 2025, and so it was really special. We went from Fayetteville all the way across the state to Jonesboro and touched some fabulous communities along the way. We had experiences with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, and some really amazing food, local music. It really was like a deep dive into the culture of Arkansas. And as far as that goes, that's going to be repeated every year, just on a different route. And so we're excited to kind of line up what 2025 will look like and celebrate the things that were awesome about 2024 as well.
No, and it was, Scott, that's a good point. As magical as it was, though, there were still several, we'll call them learning moments for the team. Can you talk a little bit about some of the updates we were making in 2025 based on
that already happened,
learnable moments in 2024?
Yeah, for one thing, 2024 had 6 days. We've reduced the 2025 Arkansas Graveler to be 5 days long. And the reason we did that is because a 6-day ride entailed people tying up 2 weekends. The first weekend was just getting to Arkansas and then finishing on that following Saturday and trying to fly home. So it was really like a 10-day commitment. And so we decided to do a 5-day total ride. That way people can travel on Monday, travel home on Sunday. And we're hoping that that makes it a little more accessible to more people. In addition to that, last year we didn't have a lot of flexibility. We moved people along the route every single day. And in 2025, we're providing what we're calling a flex day on our day 3. So when you get to about the halfway point, you have the option to sit out and enjoy hot springs. You can do Bath Row, historic hot springs, the national parks, so much to offer there. I would get a massage personally, but you also have the option to ride. We're creating an epic race route for those who want to just like go blast out the fastest, most fun and epic Ouachita route. We're going to create about a 50 to 60 mile race course and actually have timing on that day and do a really fun competition in the middle of the route. So you can rest, you can race, you could ride and not race. You have lots of options on that middle day.
That's pretty nice.
In addition to that, we have moved it up 3 weeks earlier. For those who came this year, they had a brutal heat wave that hit them the last week of June. And so we decided to flex the dates up about 3 weeks earlier. So now we're looking at June 3rd as our start date in Mena. Another thing that we learned, and this was actually a suggestion of the Phat Tire Bike team who will be joining us and contributing later in the conversation, but they said, hey, why not put a sandwich bar at the start of every ride and let riders pack their own sandwich for the day? And I was like, brilliant. Why didn't we think of that? So this year we will help riders support themselves. There are lots of mom and pop shops along the route for 2025 that we definitely want you to support, but we know how handy it can be to have a sandwich in your pocket. So we'll provide that. Last little change up is lots of people love camping, but not everyone loves camping. And it's hot, it's dusty. We understand how great it might be to upgrade to a hotel. And so I've particularly chosen host cities for 2025 that have the capacity for riders to upgrade their accommodations. So if you get to Glenwood, there's several hotels that will be well equipped to house you. Now you will have to make those accommodations on your own and get there on your own, but they're there and they're within bike riding distance of our complimentary camp venue. So if you need a bed, if you need an AC room for the night, you will have one in the host cities for 2025. So it's not quite as remote as this past year. A couple other like just housekeeping things. We lowered the price of a non-riding participant. So if you have friends and family that want to get in on this action, it's actually a little bit more affordable for them to do so this year. And we also have created, instead of we called it the mini graveler for year one, we are doing a half graveler where it's a 2-day experience. And those riders are finishing with us instead of starting with us. So they get to be in on the finale. They get to kind of include themselves in the buzz for more than just one day. And so we think that that'll serve that weekend crowd a little bit better if someone can't make the full ride. So I think that about wraps it up, Brannon, as far as the major changes that we've made.
Yeah, I mean, you had me at pocket sandwich, so I'm just gonna. It doesn't look a good pocket, but again, I think it just shows that we truly did. We listened to year one participants. We've taken everything that we've learned as both as staff as well as the experiences had by folks riding their bikes as part of the Arkansas Graveler and applied those to 2025. So don't tell them, but if you did it year one and you're not doing it year two, well, they're going to be missing out for sure. So, and so that leads us into year two in 2025. And Scotti, maybe take us, give us a sneak peek. Let's say take us through, it's a bird's eye view of event week look like, and then maybe just pick a day and take us through a sample day in the life of an Arkansas Graveler.
Yeah, so just in case you haven't heard the host cities, I'll just recap really quick. We're going to beautiful Mena, Arkansas as our send-off city. We'll go from Mena to Glenwood, Glenwood to Hot Springs. We're staying in Hot Springs for 2 nights to provide that flex day on day 3. Then we ride from Hot Springs to Morrilton and Morrilton to Heber Springs. And that'll be our host city lineup for 2025. In terms of a sample day for the typical Arkansas Graveler, it'll be an early wake-up call because it is summer in Arkansas and we like to keep people as safe as possible. So we typically will have a rolling start window from 7 to 7:30. You'll have breakfast from 6 to 7 where you can fuel up for the day. We provide breakfast every day of the experience. Coffee, if you're like me, it is absolutely a necessity no matter how hot it is. We provide Onyx coffee for our participants. You can roll out anywhere between 7 to 7:30 after having handed in your luggage to our luggage team. They transport all your things while you're on your bike and have it ready for you at the next venue. So you'll ride your bike across epic gravel. The Washitas are some of the most beautiful gravel roads that I've ever seen. They are lined with pine trees. They're remote. I was really astounded in scouting the route this year about how it's sometimes you ride gravel and you're riding by people's, private farms, and that's great. This is like forestry road, and it feels like you're just out in it, and it feels really good. And so I think you guys are going to love the gravel that's lined up for 2025. We have beautiful aid stations where you can top off your bottles, get an assortment of goodies to, fuel your ride for the day. Our aid station volunteers are always really happy to be out there and hype up the experience. There are several on route mom and pop shops, like I mentioned, that are eager to see you guys. They're opening just for the Graveler. Some of these places are typically only open on a Friday, Saturday, and seasonally at that. So they are in the know and they will be excited to see you all come by. When you finish your ride, you will be greeted with an ice cold beverage. You will be given your luggage for the day. You can set up your camp or you can shower at the venue. And then really it's like off the bike fun time. We line up a variety of activities every afternoon, whether it's fishing with some fishing guides from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, or some days they'll do an archery competition. We have live music. We provide dinner. And this year, Hot Springs is a venue that will actually, they have a live street concert that we're going to all go to as Gravelers and support the live street concert, full of food trucks, full of like hype and fun down in Hot Springs. It's called Bridge Street Live, if you want to look it up. But that's basically like your day in a nutshell. You get to do all these things with friends, have a great ride, and then dip into the local scene. And then at your own discretion, you are welcome to call it a night. If you're tired, you do have to get up and do it again the next day. But you're welcome to stay up as late as you like. We're all adults, and yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Thanks, Scotty. That's a lot to go through. I know it's a large experience. One last question before we get into a little shop talk with Nicole and Kevin. Some of the event preparation for the Arkansas Graveler, we have to put back on y'all on this call, the participants yourselves. What recommendations do you have for participants to consider when prepping for next June? And what resources have we put together that are available for them now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For those of you who did it last year, this is a very challenging ride. It requires you to be fit enough to tackle 60 to 70 miles of gravel day to day, back to back. And so this is a ride across Arkansas. We encourage you to do it responsibly. That means showing up prepped and ready for the challenge at hand. It is an awesome challenge, but it's still hard on the body. And so if you need help with things like, what bike do I bring? What do I pack? What are your luggage requirements? And how much can I bring with me to make myself comfortable sleeping at night? We have all of that detailed in our FAQ section on the arkansasgraveler.com website. So it'll list, you name it, I think it's on there. If you have questions, you're always welcome to email me personally at info@arkansasgraveler.com. And I'm usually pretty keen on getting back to people quickly with questions. And so our website is a resource for you. You can even get our 2024 Rider Bible, so to speak, and go through that. It'll give you an idea of what 2025 structure will look like. We provide maps for everyone, routes are given. Basically, everything that you need to know is on our website if you take the time to kind of click through and just find that information there.
Thanks, Scotty. We did have a question come in, and it fits real nicely with what you've been discussing here. Do we have a suggested training program this year, or is there some advice we can give folks as to, maybe just some tips as they should prepare themselves to get ready to ride multiple days in a row on a bicycle in Arkansas?
Yeah, the most important thing with that is consistency. I like to tell people to train for a multi-day challenge. You have to get your body used to doing things for multiple days. So instead of going on one 6-hour long bike ride on your Saturday, it might be better for you to carve out 1-hour rides Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then do a 2 to 3 hour ride on Saturday and Sunday, for example. Some of the challenges with fitness that come with this ride can be tackled even if you are super busy Monday through Friday type job. You could just do 45 to 60 minutes, like 3 to 4 days out of a week, and you'll get a lot more than if you just slam all your rides to the weekend and try and do this one massive ride a week. You got to get the body used to doing it for consecutive days in a row, and that only happens through practice. And so that's my biggest tip, and what I've coached my philosophy in the past has been always like, do your dosage. It's kind of like medicine. If you miss a day, you can't take 5 doses on the weekend. And so That's my prescription for training for this challenge is to just get on your bike as frequently as possible, even if it's not for long hours.
Oh, that's very, very sound advice. Okay, and that's a good reminder. The Q&A it's enabled, so those that are on the on that side, and you have that functionality, you're able to type your questions in. Please do. If you're on the moderator side of things, the chat is probably enabled, and you could actually put some questions in there. So I do ask that you guys, if you have some questions, please just ask, and we'll do our best to answer those as we go along. Here's another one that came in. Let's take a look. With the 24 Graveler, after a long day of riding and climbing in the heat, it was exhausting. In the gravel survey, there was a question about tent setup service. Is there any momentum on this option in 25? And so that's, I mean, we'll field all the questions. We may not have all the answers yet, Jim, but Scotty, what about I mean, I know we as back of house, we've been discussing this. We got your feedback. We're exploring this. Scotty, I don't think we've, actually solved for it yet.
I like knowing that this is important to people. Anytime I hear, a request come through more than once, it kind of attunes my ear to listen a little louder. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and it's something we can definitely explore. And the best place to keep up with these types of updates is our social media and website. So while I don't have anything lined up for tent service in 2025 yet, it doesn't mean that it won't particularly happen. If we can find a partner who's willing to, the thing is, we're traveling all across the state, so it's sometimes difficult to procure people who are willing to do that with us, but we will definitely keep exploring that option and see what we can do.
Fantastic. And again, just keep the questions coming. We're going to go ahead and transition over to the other side of this conversation with our friends from Phat Tire Bike Shop. We're excited to have the Phat Tire Bike Shop team back with us again in 2025, providing neutral mechanical support for our participants throughout the event. But before we kind of dive into some questions we have for Nickel and Kevin, Kevin, can you maybe take a minute and tell us a little bit about Phat Tire Bike Shop, where the shop is, how many there are, what y'all do?
Yeah, Kevin, if you want, I'll go. So Phat Tire, we started in 2007 in Bentonville, Arkansas. I came onto the company in 2010, and since then we now have a dozen shops, and we serve Arkansas and Oklahoma. So we're in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and then we have 7 stores in Arkansas. So we're
the kids went home because Jim
one
was
of
tired.
Bentonville's first shops, and we've just really tried to be supportive of everything cycling. And I really wanted to be involved with the graveler on the first year because riding in one direction all day is my favorite kind of riding, and that's how I got into cycling in the first place. And so I like gravel rides, and I like touring, and having this in our backyard, we just really wanted to be involved. And then Kevin is my right-hand man, and he's in charge of like half of our stores, and he kind of talked me into it, and we had an awesome time last year. Kevin, would you like to tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, I've been in the industry since the late 90s, and I've been with Phat Tire over 3.5 years, and I am the regional director for the Arkansas shops. And I'm excited as well. When I saw it, there was no doubt. I was like, "Hey, sounds like they need some help, Nickel. It's maybe this is something where if we play our cards right, we might get to come play bikes." And boy, were we in for a nice surprise for the first year, and we definitely did some negotiating on the back end of things, and we were back at it for 2025. So we're excited to be there. One of our abbreviated philosophies with Phat Tire Bike Shop is bicycle experiences change lives. And I'm a firm believer that this experience, Arkansas Graveler, will absolutely change your life. You come out.
I would agree, but listen, they say it was not a hard negotiation to get these fellows back on board. It truly was not. It happened in about 2 minutes. So but no, we're excited to have them back. They were here year one, and that's a good segue into a few questions we've got pre-prepared about last year. Looking back at 2024, you guys were our neutral support. You touched hundreds of bikes throughout the week. What was our most common repair during that inaugural Arkansas Graveler?
Yeah, well, and Kevin did at least half the work that I did, but some of the stuff that we saw that was most common was like service stuff that probably could have been dealt with before you came on your trip, where people were like, "Hey, my bike's shifting poorly," and we checked their chain, and their chain was pretty worn out. And that was at the beginning of the ride. And it would just kind of set up for a bad situation because, we're all planning this months in advance and we're all going to work really hard to be ready for it. And then to show up and have your equipment let you down is definitely a bummer. And that's why we're going to bring as much of a bike shop as we can fit into about 8 different pack cases as we can, and all the experience that we have. But modern bicycles have a lot of proprietary parts and things that your local bike shop, who services the brand of bicycle that you ride, is probably best suited to take care of that. And we would love to be like the medics or the nurses on the ride where we're here to patch up broken things. But hopefully, if you don't need us for the whole trip, that's a good outcome because your bike, showed up working well and it worked well for the whole ride. Kevin, I know we actually did a bunch of work and I kind of skirted answering the question. What did we fix the most last year?
I mean, tires were definitely at the top of the list, and I think there was a significant number of people that were underprepared for the type of terrain that we had in Arkansas. Gravel all over the country comes in all kinds of different forms, from smooth gravel to rocky to chip seal, you name it, and all in between. And you really need to be running some big burly tires. And I say no less than a 45 is my recommendation. Personally, I ran 2.0s or 50C, and that was the sweet spot for me. But if you want to have an enjoyable trip, something that has larger volume is going to really be advantageous to avoid flats. And just along the lines of what Nickel was saying, I mean, this is an investment in an incredible experience. And if you're going to make this type of investment with your time and with the entry and everything that it takes to get to this event, then make an investment in your bike and make sure that it's fresh. And I would encourage you when I talk about fresh, like, don't wait until the week before. Don't wait until 2 weeks before, but don't do it 2 months, before too, from the standpoint of, your sealant's going to dry up if you do it out that far. Many a times I was asking people, when's the last time you refreshed your sealant in your tubeless system? And they didn't know. And they're starting this journey through the country, and that's not setting yourself up for success. So fresh drivetrain, make sure your drivetrain is replaced and ready to go within a month, no more than 2 months out. Tires, I recommend a tire that's only got a month use on it, bare minimum. And the things that Nickel was touching on as far as proprietary parts and what have you, one of the biggest culprits that we had that we just absolutely could not help out there was the proprietary things. So like we ran into multiple e-bike drivetrains that were just completely shot. So if you have an e-bike and you're listening to this, please replace your drivetrain ahead of time. Period. You will not run into issues if you do that. We could replace the chain, but the challenge is a lot of people don't understand that over time, your parts of your drivetrain marry each other. And so if you break a chain and we try to put a new chain on there, the chain rings are now worn to the point that the new chain is not going to be compatible. It will not work. So please replace them. Highly recommend that. Go to your local bike shop, make sure you get those parts because those are just not interchangeable from bike to bike. And those are my biggest asks to make sure you have the best possible experience.
And Kevin, I don't want to interrupt, but we're not just trying to be bad salesmen here. I used to work for Adventure Cycling and lead tours all over the country, and we'd get to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, and then my rider's bike doesn't work. And it's just like it's such a bad outcome, and it's totally avoidable. And so we're like, go to any bike shop. It doesn't need to be our Phat Tire. And it's really about us making sure that when you show up for the start of your vacation, your adventure, that we love changing flat tires because those happen on every bike. They happen on new tires. We're going to be ready for that. But it's these other things that we can't fix on the trip that we feel the worst about, and that's like the hardest for us.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, those are good. One of our Scotties had their hand raised, but it looks like they lowered that. So, but again, that's another function we could try to. So if you have a question and the raise hand function, there you go. Okay, well then I'm gonna ask you to unmute. There you go.
How you doing? Scotty here. My question is are there any I do a lot of technical riding out here as well with my gravel bikes and with a lot of single track as well. Will there be any single track or is it going to be pretty tame as far as fire roads?
No, this is true gravel.
Okay.
I don't get super mean. People will say that I do with the elevation, but no, it's not made to be a technical riding experience in regards to the track itself. These are wide open, vehicle capable driving gravel roads.
And what kind of don't mind climbing out here as well. What kind of grades might we hit? Will we go in the
Yeah,
teens
so
or will we have some good steep
occasionally,
stuff?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some pitchy climbs in Arkansas.
All right.
So, last year, for example, our biggest day, it was a huge day. We had a 7,500 foot day last year. There's nothing
Right
that
on.
that great this year. The biggest day this year is 4,500 total elevation gain in one ride. However, you will find that they kind of are choppy. So some of the
Sure.
climbs, and this is a lot of people were fit enough to ride it, but they did not have the correct gearing to ride it. And so lots of people were hike-a-biking, not because they couldn't do it, but because they had the incorrect gearing for those types of climbs and the gradients. And so that might be a good question, Nickel and Kevin. Tell us
That
about the proper gear ratio.
I that comes up on thinking about things that people asked us for at the tent at night, and just to help you think through the day, Kevin and I will have our bike shop open in the morning and make sure everybody gets out of camp, and then we're gonna go ride our bikes with you all day, and we'll sweep some people on the course, and then when we get to camp, we play bike shop again and put our sign up and work on bikes till dark or after. But all the people were asking, "Can you put lower gears on my bike?" And there are sometimes we maybe sort of can add a couple teeth, but it often starts to mess with what derailleur goes on your
Yeah.
bike. You know, most of the time the answer was no. And that's something that just on the course is something we can't really change. And from a gearing perspective on this ride, don't think about what you can do whenever you're out riding your bike. Think about when you're dog tired because it's the second half of the day when you've already
Sure.
been riding your bike all day and then you hit the 20% grade that a 52 tooth chainring starts to really make sense or whatever. And so I
All
would
right.
encourage people to go lower gears on your bike if it crosses your mind, do I have a low enough gear on my bike? You would probably love a lower gear for the end of the day. That last climb to camp is the hardest one.
That's not a problem. Yeah, we got rock cobbler out here and some other stuff we do. So it's some steep steps. We're geared for it. Thanks.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
question.
definitely to shoot numbers out just so if people are listening and wondering what that sweet spot is, like a full-on mountain bike gearing, cog set in the back, like a 1050, 1052. If you're not doing that, that's if you're running like a one by, chain ring on the front. And if you're running a two by, you're gonna need some climbing gears. So like we're talking probably like a 28 in the front and you're gonna want to go less than a 1-to-1 ratio. You want it to be very low.
Yeah,
You're gonna want to have the grandma gear. Just trust us.
And
yeah.
You will be thankful.
Kevin's really setting you up for like what the best bike for it is. I do want to shout out, we had a rider last year on like a 1980s Peugeot steel mountain bike that had a triple on the front. It was 26 by 2.0, and she didn't ask us for a single thing all week. Her bike worked fine and she rode every day. And so it's not really about having the bike. It's making sure that the bike that you're bringing works. And I rode it on 42s last year, and Kevin made fun of me every day, but I got through it. And so really, I would think about your tires being heavy, and heavy in this context means that you'll hopefully get through the day without a flat. Your super lightweight race tires are not what you want to tour across Arkansas gravel on. So even if you want to bring your 80s Peugeot mountain bike, just make sure it has a new drivetrain and new tires on it. And we didn't even mention it. Probably one of our top three fixes was brake pads because a
Mm.
giant climb has a giant descent on the other side, and people were saying my brakes are making noise, and we're like, oh, that's because you don't have any pad on this, and so you're showing up on worn out parts. And really, a way to think about this, and Scotty mentioned it, but if we're all getting ready for this ride, you should be out riding your bike, a little bit or some. And so then if you're riding your bike, and getting ready for this trip, then take it to the shop, get stuff fresh, and then show up on the trip with fresh stuff. And then we don't have to dig around in our box and just hope that we have a brake pad that fits your bike, because that's also a bummer with all the different compatibilities. If for of the 25 brake pads I bring, if I don't have the one for your bike exactly.
Yeah, we definitely roll the dice in how we stack our mobile bike shop and what parts we're bringing. And if we find something that's being repeatedly replaced, we burn through it. uh, we hope in speaking to the participants that we can avoid that. And I can assure you, if you start with a 90% pad life, you should be able to finish the ride. The people that we were replacing it, they were probably starting with 25% left, and then they were tapping out. And it does get to be a challenge when it does with all the component compatibility groups out there. And so yeah, we want you all to have the best experience, and we want our jobs at the end of the night to be less. Instead of having 20, 30, 40 bikes sometimes and working into the night, we are begging you to do your due diligence with your bike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
sounds
that
like.
note,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. On that note,
Yes,
I will say, this is no shame on anybody that brought an e-bike last year, but for 2025, we are expecting and requiring that those of you who do want to ride an e-bike have either an extender or a second battery that we can drop at our aid station for you to replenish your battery. Several of the e-bikes just did not have it in their tank to make it a full Arkansas Graveler day. So even if your range says 60 miles, and our route is 60 miles of Arkansas is just not the same as like a 60-mile on Greenway. And so expect that these miles will eat through your 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 predicted duration on your e-bike. So please come prepared with a second battery or an extender this year.
that's correct. So yeah, those e-bikes are fantastic. They're getting pretty
Mm-hmm.
savvy with them, and now they have gravel specific e-bikes. But again, a backup battery is going to be required, or a range extender. I think what we're getting out of this is it truly does sound like we can fix a lot of stuff. We can't fix everything, and the way you can ensure that your graveler experience is a success next year is to focus on a little preventative bike maintenance yourself. Go visit that local bike shop. If you're in Oklahoma or Arkansas, we'd encourage you to swing by a Phat Tire Bike Shop. But we do encourage y'all to please take the bike in, have a professional mechanic give it a look over, and just make sure that your body and your bike show up prepared to enjoy this magical experience across Arkansas. We do have a few questions that have come in. Somebody reminded us that we did hit 28% grade last year. So that's when we talk about smoking some brake pads, you can, what goes up must come down. And so there was likely a descent of that nature as well. Another good reminder is we're overnighting in Hot Springs, but not one night, but 2 nights. And Hot Springs has some amazing mountain bike trails. If you've never ridden Northwoods, we're looking at creating some one-off experiences for folks that want a mountain bike. If you're doing this ride on a mountain bike, that's a totally capable rig. A lot of people did it last year on a mountain bike. Just know that while it's not going to be routed into the experience, there is an opportunity to enjoy world-class mountain bike single track while we're in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
If you do have the flexibility of, say, your spouse is going to be a non-riding companion and have your own vehicle, then you can bring a second bike with you and plan a mountain bike day if that's your jam. We like to throw that in there. And I did see the question about is day 3 the only race day? Is the rest of the ride at your own pace? So the Arkansas Graveler is not a race. The ethos of this event is we want every rider to enjoy the ride, whatever that means. You can ride your little heart out and go try and PR every day, or you can take your time and stop at all the places and take all the pictures and eat all the food and make it whatever you want. That day 3 race experience is literally the only day that we will be timing this year. And so when we say race, we're going to just program a kind of like a fun cultural race day for those of you who like to go and really push your limit. And we are going to have some special prizes on that day, but we still welcome you to ride if you want to ride, even if it's at a slower pace. It's welcome to anybody, just to be clear.
Scotty, can we tell them where that race is going to start and finish from?
Yeah, I think it's about time that we give this group a special little drop of info. So this will be announced on Wednesday officially, but we have been given partnership with Oaklawn in Hot Springs as our venue for 2025. That is a world-class horse racing racetrack, and they are going to allow the gravelers to camp on the infield with full access to their casino and all their restaurants and all their amenities. And so it is going to be, I don't know how we're going to get you guys to leave. Let me just say, we did a tour last week and it is a phenomenal place to camp. Like the grass is like a pillow and it's just beautiful. And we cannot wait to show that to people and announce it this Wednesday. Basically, I don't know how we're going to top it. I don't know how.
No, it's true. Again, I was lucky enough to go on a site visit with Scotti last week, one of the Scotties on the call here. And we had I mean, just they are ready to welcome the gravelers with open arms down there in Hot Springs. And Oaklawn is true. I mean, y'all are in for a true treat. And we don't get to stay there one night, we get to stay there 2 nights. And so we're all pretty excited about that. So let's talk a little bit about a few more of these questions that have come in. So we talk about, third, that's our race day, day 3. It's the race arrest, you kind of do what you want there. Love that. And then the next day, that Friday, is when we're going to roll out from Hot Springs, but we're not just rolling out with the folks that have ridden to Hot Springs. That's where the half graveler participants will pick up and ride that last 2 days of the journey as we travel the rest of the way to Heber Springs. Do we anticipate, what's the plan there? I know we're going to open that up to limited spots. What's the plan there if that really sells out, Scotti?
So given that last year with our mini participants, we're opening up 50 spots. If it fills on day 1 on January 1st, that category just explodes and it gets to full capacity, then we'll definitely consider opening more. We're just kind of putting 50 out there to see what the interest is and see what we're dealing with. But the cool thing is our shuttle service at the finale will be able to cater to both crowds, those who are going back to Hot Springs for the half graveler and those who are going back to Mina for the full graveler can both take the same shuttles. Hot Springs is literally our halfway point back to Mina. So logistically, it works out great for whichever way you want to swing it.
No, and that's similar to that. That's a good segue. I think one thing maybe just touch on a little bit. Last year we did provide complimentary shuttles to participants. A little update there, Scotti.
Yeah. So last year we shuttling back to the start was included with registration. That has been changed this year. We are taking a $75 fee to get your body and your bicycle and your belongings back to either Hot Springs or Mina. And that's simply because it was a cost that we had in advance and we accommodated for everybody, but only about half of our participants actually needed it. And so this year, if logistically it works better for you to leave from Heber Springs back to your home, you're free to do so. You don't have to do the shuttle, but if you need it, it's a nominal fee. We stop halfway to get, a snack, and it's great. It's air conditioned shuttle bus. We cart your bike and your bags safely back to wherever you need to get at the finish if you need us to do so.
Yeah, and that's again, staying this kind of same as we talk through the week and the logistics of when it comes to the half gravelers, are they expected to come spend the night in Hot Springs on Thursday night, or they show up Friday morning? I think we're leaning towards doing it early, like a packet pickup Thursday night in Hot Springs so that people are ready to roll out at 7 with everybody, right?
We have plenty of space to welcome the half gravelers the night before if they want to come down and party with us on Thursday night.
There you go.
I would come to Oaklawn.
Yeah, because that would be the recommendation. Come experience Oaklawn. Come spend the night camping with us. Get that. What a better way to kick off even that half grav experience.
Yeah.
Someone was they asked about Hot Springs and about laundry. The hotels will have laundry service, and we'll do on the route. We'll do a good job to mark any available laundry services that you may find along the route and in the overnight communities. And so just know, as far as laundry goes, I do think you will find it accessible, at least in Hot Springs.
Yes.
We're there for 2 days.
Hot Springs for sure.
Yep. So
yep.
That's a good midway point. So if you want to pack light, which this Tony had mentioned was considering packing light, you should be able to travel light and do some laundry there at the halfway point midweek.
Yep. Yeah, someone asked the nearest airports. And so a few options. The closest one is actually going to be XNA out of Fayetteville. Well, it's a very close tie between Fayetteville, Little Rock, and Tulsa, actually. So you have some options. Check your tickets, check the availability. I would say if you're checking Tulsa, XNA, or Fayetteville, Springdale, and then Little Rock, either way, you'll probably have to rent a vehicle of some kind to get to the start or find your own transportation. But I will say that we do have complimentary parking once you get there. So even if you're flying with a bike, we're equipped to store your bike bag for you for the duration of the week. We have a place for that in Mina. We have a safe place for your car to be parked for that entire week. Mina is donating several parking lots for us, for our participants. And so once you get there, there's no additional cost other than your airfare to park whatever vehicle it is that you have, procured for the week.
No, and and then a remark there, and they can also, if you're joining us just for the half grab, you could fly into Hot Springs as well. And we will have overnight,
There is a small airport. Yeah.
And we will have parking available for those joining us as part of the half grab. We'll have parking secured for your vehicles as well. And again, same shuttle bus when we're done in Heber Springs, same shuttle bus going to take everybody back. We'll just, that mid-ride stop on the shuttle bus will happen to be Hot Springs. So if those looking to get off will be able to get off there. Here's a quick question, Scotty. Do returning gravelers get first dibs on camping spots at each event venue? I'd say no, but we have guaranteed, the one guarantee we have made for returning gravelers is that on January 1st, we do guarantee you a spot in the graveler, even if it were to sell out. So we are making that commitment. That's how much we want you back. Can't guarantee your preferred camping spot, but we can guarantee that if you want to participate again in year 2, we guarantee a spot for you. Let's see what else we got coming in here. Nickel would like this because I rode with him yesterday, and Ed loved the trails in Hot Springs on an all-city Gorilla Monsoon. So there you go. So for fully rigid drop bar NAR, we did a little bit of that ourselves yesterday. Had a good time doing that. Let's see here. Okay. Well, that's pretty much like let's call it just the prepared question we had at this time. Would open it up to more Q&A. If you've got a burning question you're sitting on, now's a good time to accommodate Sean. Great question. Let's talk a little bit about the food this year, Scotty, and as far as accommodating special diets, if they got a vegan diet, things like that. Walk us through the food. I know I'm getting a pocket sandwich, but walk me through kind of everything else with the food this year.
Yeah, we take dietary needs very seriously. We actually have an intake question when you register on January 1st that will ask you, what do you need from us? And we provide it. Last year, we did a great job, I think, with gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, vegetarian. We were able to accommodate everyone's needs. It was important to give us that info on the front end, however. So it's not an optional question. It won't let you go further if you don't. So if you don't have any dietary restrictions, great, just hit not applicable. If you do, that's your time to tell us what you need from us. And we take those notes and we give them to every single chef that we partner with on the route. Oh, Brandon, I think you're on mute.
It happens from time to time. And this year, I'm excited about the chef selection this year. We don't have to give it all away right now, but we're definitely curating some call it local flavors from across Arkansas.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, we have some very talented people partnering with us across the state this year.
So what's another question about shuttles, and as people kind of logistically start to work through this in their own heads, about when's the last day to register for a shuttle? Scotty, I'm guessing we will make shuttle passes available for purchase on bike
That's
rides?
a great question. Yeah, you do not have to have your logistics figured out on January 1st. If you don't know what you need, just register. We will leave the additional add-ons, which the shuttle is, those will be live on our platform well into the spring. You can always add that on later if you decide, oh, you know what, I do need that shuttle after all. That will stay open for extra purchase. And you could even, up until we close registration, I think it's May 12th is the last day that our registration platform will be open. So do your logistics in the spring, not to fret if you don't have all your ducks in a row about how you're getting here or how you're getting back to the start. Not to worry, we can add that on later.
And Scott, that's a good little just sneaky segue. Scotty, what else can they plan to purchase on January 1st in addition to their shuttle passes?
This awesome
Plan-
shirt. I know you guys can't see it right now, but our merch this year is kind of a token piece that pays homage to all the places that you're going to ride through. It's got landscape features, animals, icons like the Bigfoot. You're going to see Bigfoot everywhere on this route. It's kind of a Washita theme. And so we've embraced that and we're calling 2025 the Bigfoot route. And so our merch will also go live on January 1st. In addition to that, you're going to see, I think someone from the Breakfast Club is on this call. But last year we had a group called the Breakfast Club. They stopped for everything. If there was a restaurant, that's where you would find them. And they really embraced this idea of like, I want to enjoy it all. I want to stop and meet the people, see the places, take the pictures, eat the food, drink the beer. They were doing it. And so this year we made a t-shirt called the Breakfast Club. You can be a part of it. And even better, when you buy a t-shirt, they have designated a veterans group to give the proceeds to. So every dollar that is made on these t-shirts will go back to a veterans organization who is helping the military people who serve our country, you know, get to their next steps and have these like active lifestyle engagement platforms like the Arkansas Graveler to plug into. So you can really help make a difference and also have a really sweet t-shirt to wear along the ride.
And if you, just word of caution, if you hang out with the Breakfast Club, you've been warned. You're in for a good,
There's
you're in for
so
a
much
good
fun.
time. We promise that. There's so much fun.
Absolutely.
You will start early and finish late each day, and it's fantastic.
Mhm.
Any chance for a gravel bandana? I don't know. That's another. There you go. So there's
Did someone ask that?
they ask about a bandana.
Oh,
So
I
we'll
needed
have to.
someone to ask because I wasn't sure if it was something worth having. So if that is a unanimous vote and the gravel band, I'm seeing people do this. So okay, you shall have one. You
There you
shall
go,
have one.
Tony. You're getting a bandana, Tony. A great question about logistics when it comes to routes and marking. Are they required to use some type of navigation? Every route,
Mm.
every day, every turn will be fully marked. And so while you will have a full navigation filed, and we do encourage you to record and follow the nav. If you've got a bike computer or a phone that you like to navigate from, we do encourage you to utilize those. But if you don't have that form of technology, just know that we will have a full marking team that goes out ahead of you each and every day and then goes back behind you each and every night and strikes that course. And we do that every day on repeat all week long. And so we will fully mark the course, including confident. We'll mark at the turn as well as confidence afterwards. And so last year, I mean, we set the bar really high with our course crew. They did a heck of a job marking the course each day. And the course is fully supported, y'all. You will be out there with, I mean, anywhere probably a minimum 8 support vehicles. We fully support the course. You'll see our staff out there with you all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find first aid professionals at each aid station. You'll find friendly folks ready to just make sure and help you. Whatever experience you need to have that day, we're going to help you have it, whatever that means to you. And that's our commitment to you. And so, yeah, so just know that when we say fully supported, we mean it. And you should never go very far without seeing a staff or somebody ready to help you should you need assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quick
go ahead,
question
Scott.
about aid station food. That's a good question. We have all the usual suspects that you might expect to see, such as your salty potato chips and pickle juice and honey stingers, gel packets, and things like that. But we do try and sprinkle in local flavor. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, last year on our route to Cave City, there was a fried pie vendor. We went and bought like 300 of those fried pies and put them at the aid station. So we have little surprises for people here and there, along with the staples like your energy bars and your Gatorades and your, electrolyte mix and water. Sodas are there. Basically everything that you would see at a typical aid station. We do try and change it up every day. One year, one of the girls brought cucumbers and ranch dressing. It was a huge hit. So we do try and change it up. We know that you don't want to eat the same thing for 5 days on repeat. So we're committed to making those as dynamic as possible while also fitting the bill of fueling you forward.
Okay. We need you to keep eating so that you can complete your ride. And so we do our best to diversify the food options throughout the week. You're not going to be eating the same peanut butter sandwich and banana each and every day.
Yeah.
Rory, you've got your hand raised. Rory, I'm going to call on you. So you've got your hand raised here. You got a question? Says he does. Oh, well, he took his hand down. Okay, Roy didn't have his hand.
Okay.
His hand's no longer
Maybe it
raised.
got
That's okay.
answered.
Maybe we
Maybe it got
answered it 'cause
answered.
we're doing such a good job. Here's a comment that don't take our word for it. An attendee from last year said the course markings this last year was likely the best they had seen in 20 years of riding events. So that's when we
good.
say we set the bar high, that's pretty high. And then the
It's
cold, wet
true.
towels. Yeah.
It was the best.
The-
You did a great
Good.
job.
That's good.
Logistics for day one, Scotty, is it realistic to depart from Northwest Arkansas, like the Bentonville area, early in the AM and drive to
Oof.
Mena in time for the Grand Depart? Or would we
If
recommend
you-
them staying overnight down in Mena?
It's a 2-hour, 45-minute drive from Bentonville. I know it well. I've done it several times this fall. You would have to probably leave your house at 3 a.m. If you're willing to do that, we will have packet pickup the morning of the event. But I will say it's worth coming down the night before. We haven't given this much airtime yet because the details are still falling into place. But we have partnered with Mena to do kind of an extended packet pickup at their university. And then afterwards, we're going to have a pre-event party at a local brewery. They've got a huge capacity and lots of different brews on tap. It's called the Washitas. The brewery is called the Washitas. They have a great meetup space for us to kind of just get together, get to know each other, meet some new gravel friends, and just hang for a little bit. We're going to do that the night before the event. And then Tuesday morning, June 3rd, we're going to start at 7 a.m. And so it's going to be an early morning. You're welcome to make it happen if that's what is best for you. We'll be ready for you. But for this year, we're going to have people bring us their bins the night before at packet pickup. So you'll drop off your big hefty bin. You can keep a personal backpack or a small duffel bag with you for that night that you can drop off the morning of the event. But we're going to do the heavy lifting the day before so that you can enjoy the evening and not have to worry about your tub the morning of the event. So I think it's worth coming down the night before if you can manage it with your schedule.
Me too. We ate at the Watchdogs and it was fantastic. So I can. And
So
they have,
good.
like,
Great beer.
I don't know. They probably got 50 beers on tap. They got a large selection.
It's impressive.
So you're into the craft beer scene. It's a good way to maybe start your graveler experience. Okay. We want to be sensitive to everyone's time this evening. We got time for maybe just one, maybe two more questions. If anything's burning from those in attendance, you can raise your hand. You can type it in the Q&A. You can just unmute yourself and ask it at this point. But if anyone has any burning questions, now's the time.
I will interject. I wanted to ask or just kind of mention, we do have a payment program this year. I know that this event is a big price tag for a lot of people. It would be for me. We put every dollar back into the value of this event. I hope you know that. Through the Ozark Foundation, we're a nonprofit. We don't really make money on this event. We offer it as something that we consider a legacy event for the state of Arkansas and the things that we have to offer here in the state. But we know that it is costly to take a week of vacation to spend your money on a registration like this. And so this year we have a payment program. If you want to split it into 2 equal payments, there's an option to do that. You'll register and pay your first half on January 1st or during the first month of January. That's the only month that this option will be available. And then you'll be billed for your second half at the end of March. And so if that helps you kind of make that step towards registration, it's there for you this year.
That's an exciting update. As the Ozark Foundation, we're the nonprofit event production team behind the event, and we work to remove barriers to access to the outdoors. And so we know if that initial price point is a barrier, we want to give you all options to overcome that. So excited that we've figured that out. We have the KC Graveler girls have raised their hand. And so we'd love to, and they've got a party going. So
I love the KC girls.
Quick question. On the FAQ, it says the 40-gallon bins are required. Is that the size we mostly had last year? Because when I was looking at Menards this year, the 40 ones are way bigger than the ones that we all mostly had.
Does it say 40 on there?
Yeah, I think we had like a 27 was the normal.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I might need to update that. I'm
Okay,
glad you brought
'cause I
that
don't
up.
want the bigger one because that thing's enough weight.
Yeah, it's supposed. Yeah, I'll need to fix that. I
Okay,
think I had
cool.
that up there from last year. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you so much for answering that.
It's still pretty big, but it's like, chest
Yeah,
size.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
And we can,
I'm glad you.
we'll put out a post. That's a good idea. We'll put out a post at some point in the near future about like what that gear bin looks like what we would recommend that y'all bring. It makes it easier on you. It makes it easier on our staff. Last year, our staff every day loaded and unloaded 16,000 pounds at a time. So they moved about 32,000 pounds of gear each and every day. And so that's something we're committed to getting right, not just for your sake, but also the sake of our staff so that they can be with us by the time the end of the week comes around.
Yeah, I see that too, 40 gallon. It's quite large. So if you can update that with some general dimensions as well.
Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you all.
And we do have that's a good, we do have a weight limit. So we are going to ask y'all to consider
Yeah.
weight, and that's what, 50 pounds. That's what we've set it at, Scotty, this year.
50 pounds for the crate, and then a personal backpack similar to what you'd use for carry-on.
There you go. So yeah, and but that is a good reminder. We'll put out some information on that as you guys get ready to sign up, and that way you know what to go grab and what to show up with and bring accordingly. Okay, now really are going to be sensitive to time. It's been an hour. We want to thank first we want to thank Nickel and Kevin from Phat Tire Bike Shop for joining us. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here tonight and your insightful information. I know everyone's going to listen.
Thank you.
They're going to go take that advice, sage advice. They're going to go apply that to their own bicycle and their own needs before they show up. We know they will. Folks, we want to thank everyone for their time and interest in the 2025 Arkansas Graveler. You can find additional information and sign up for our newsletter. We do put a lot of information out in our newsletter at arkansasgraveler.com, and hopefully you are, but if you're not, you can also please follow us along on Instagram as well as Facebook. A reminder, registration is set to open when, Scotty? 9 a.m.? January 1?
9 a.m. Central Time, January 1st. We had a good showing last year right at 9 a.m. So I would suggest you get on there and, get in the action.
That's right. It is your ticket to 5 captivating days of gravel riding across Arkansas. That's June 3rd through the 7th, 2025. Folks, that's what we have for you this evening. We hope to see you next June. Happy holidays. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you out there. Thanks, Brannon.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Tell him, George. George, you let him know.
Cheers.
You tell him.